football team, Nick Saban, baby.
Yeah!
Coach, you look amazing. This crowd is awesome, and they're only here because we said we're chatting to you. These people love Nick Saban. I know.
We love these people, too.
Well, you've done a lot of good for these people and for college football as a whole, and I know you're just a humble West Virginia guy, but you're the greatest of all time, and you've earned everybody's yell that they've shown you. You're the best.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. You know, we had a great team here at Alabama, and these folks, the fans, have been a great part of that for many, many years. The energy, the enthusiasm, what they create in the stadium makes it special for players to play here, and that's why we've always been able to continue to get good players to coach.
Okay, so we've never been in Tuscaloosa for a home football game. Saturday night, we'll be roaming the sidelines. What should we expect here? Is this the greatest environment in college football? You have to say that, but why is it that?
Well, it's one of the greatest environments in college football. I think the SEC has some great environments. It was a great environment in Texas last year when we played there, but our people here have a great passion. They have a great tradition, and they are very enthusiastic and supportive, and the atmosphere in our stadium is always fantastic.
I can't wait to get out there. Yeah. Can't wait to experience it. Now, you are favored by a touchdown at home right now, even though they have returning players at important positions. This is kind of a new team, it feels like, from a national standpoint of Alabama. Also feels like you're maybe going back old school, before Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, before Bryce Young, a little bit more power football. Is that an accurate reading of your team, and do you notice that?
Well, I think it's a transition that we want to make. I think it's happening all over in college football right now. You see more people getting in what you refer to as 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 2 wides, run the ball. People have adapted to the spread. There still are some great features that the spread gives you offensively, RPOs, spreading the field, advantage throws. But I think more people are now getting back to running the football, and that's what we wanted to do, and have more balance in our offense this year, and hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Let's talk about Milroe a little bit, because a running quarterback with a running team is obviously a recipe for greatness. And I hate saying this because it's like a very amateur thing to say, but like, he has Lamar Jackson wiggle, it feels like, and movement. And when he's on a field, he pulls away from people. He's a quarterback. It's like he's electrifying. How does he have to continue to grow, and what do you think we see from him on Saturday?
Well, he's made a lot of progress as a player, and what he's done is he's learned to process better, make better choices and decisions, so it minimizes his bad plays. He's always had a tremendous capacity to make big plays, explosive plays. He's one of the fastest guys on the team. So when he pulls it down and takes off, it makes a difference, and it creates problems for the defense. And I think this can help us reestablish being a more balanced team as well, is his athleticism and what it does to the defense. I mean, when you run the zone read even, the end's supposed to take the quarterback. Well, if the end can't take the quarterback and he takes off, that guy can't close as far to help on the dive. So all those things complement each other.
Hell yeah, we can't wait to watch it. AJ's got a question for you, Coach.
Coach, I'm just curious, you've had just sustained dominance wherever you have been. How do you continue the culture that you have here that you've brought with you everywhere you've coached, to where year after year it seems like Alabama's always there contending for a national title, but it doesn't matter who's on the roster really?
Well, I think the number one thing you just mentioned, you answered your own question, it's culture. And how do you develop?
That's a trigger word. Everybody says it, though.
Everybody says it, but really what it's about is having people in the organization who understand what they want to accomplish and what they want to do. Every player that comes to Alabama, I always ask them, what do you want to accomplish, or what do you want to do? And they say, I want to graduate and I want to play in the NFL someday. So I ask them, what does that entail? So now we define exactly a process of things that they have to do to be able to accomplish those things. And I'll periodically ask them, you happy with the progress that you're making? The guy says, yeah. I say, why? He tells me why. He's learning how to self-assess. If he says no, I say why. He tells me, and he's learned how to self-assess. but you got to have discipline to execute every day.
Coach.
That's the most important thing.
Coach, the discipline and everything is something that I think a lot of people thought wouldn't be possible in 2023, right? With this new generation of kids who, for whatever reason, hard coaching wasn't necessarily in their life or hasn't been in their life. That's the narrative, at least. Then you see guys like you, obviously old school, Kirby Smart, obviously old school type coach. Deion Sanders, I think, is an old school type coach. Why do you think we're seeing this kind of renaissance or rebirth of like hard-nosed coaching in football?
Well, I think that, mental toughness doesn't mean you have to be hard on somebody. Discipline does not mean you have to be hard on somebody. Because discipline is about making the right personal choices and decisions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? Over here, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, and you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it?
Man,
so if you can make those choices and decisions
Coach,
the right way all the time.
both of those I struggle with. I mean, both sides I struggle with every day.
That doesn't surprise me.
Tone has a question for you, Coach.
Hey, Coach, everyone makes a big deal about your record against your previous assistants. I think it's like 28-2 or something like that. And then Sark had a line this week. He's like, you should see his record against other coaches. Is there more motivation, or is there something that comes along when you play your previous assistants?
Not really. I mean, look, I'm proud of the guys that have done a great job for us. Sark did a great job when he was here, and I'm proud of the fact that he's building a good program at the University of Texas. And this is going to be an opportunity for our players to play against a great team and see where they are as a team and see how we respond to this challenge. So, but there's not a better motivation. I think the record is misleading because a lot of the assistants who got head jobs, they didn't get great jobs. All right, so they were in rebuilding mode. So they didn't have the same advantages that we had. But now, you talk about Georgia and A&M and Texas, those guys have had a chance to build programs, and they have really good teams. So I think the record is going to be a little more challenging to try to keep it in the mode that it has been in the past.
In the coaching world, I think Nathaniel Hackett said this after Sean Payton buried him, but it was in a way to motivate his own team. He said coaches all kind of live in the same house, and there's rules in the coaching house amongst other coaches. You're just known as the guy, if something happens in your career, go to Coach Saban. He'll be able to figure it out. What do you do to these coaches to kind of put them back on the right track? And do you appreciate the fact that that honor has kind of been bestowed upon you by basically all coaches at all levels?
Well, and anytime any former assistant who is now a head coach or an assistant who's become a coordinator call and ask for advice, I'm always willing to give them advice because I didn't really invent anything in this game. I've always just learned from somebody else. And I had some great mentors now, George Perlis, Bill Belichick. I mean, I had some great mentors along the way who I had the opportunity to learn from. So I've always been a guy that shares information. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to ever share information that's going to give somebody an advantage when we play them.
Bingo.
But
that's a part of it.
It's how can you help develop players? Because I don't care what we do in college football. I mean, we can have name, image, and likeness. We can have conference realignment. But still, college football has to be about developing players and helping them be more successful in life because they are involved in the program. That's what it's all about, and that's what it's got to continue to be. And anybody that I can help do that, I'm willing to do.
Yeah, you're a good man, Coach. Yeah. You're a good man. They picked the right one to give the football ring, too, it feels like. Ty has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, over the course of your career, obviously you win all these national championships. You've played in every big game there is to play in, but I'm just curious, do you still get, butterflies or have a little bit of nervous energy when you're going into some of these really big games early in the season or at any point in the season?
Yeah, I think one of the keys to the drill is being able to control your nerves. You want to play with emotion. You want your team to play with emotion, but you really don't want to be emotional because then you make bad choices and decisions. You get penalties and jump off sides, and your anxiety sort of affects your performance. So there's a fine line in all that, but I still do because I'm always trying to elevate my game. All right, I'm trying to find a better way for us to have a better team and have our players have a better chance to be successful at what they do. So, and that never stops. So, and this game, what's happened in all these games in the past has nothing to do with what's going to happen in this game, how you need to prepare for this game, how you need to be ready for the challenges of this game. And it's still a great challenge to me to try to get our players in a position where they have a chance to be successful.
Yeah, but when you lose your shit, it's awesome.
Yep.
I would imagine we love it. We love it. You know what I mean? You get
Some things you talk about, some things you do. You know, I have to tell the story. You know,
Yes, please
my
do.
son was about, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, and he was playing junior high basketball. Maybe he was 12, I don't know. I didn't get to go to a lot of games because of recruiting and whatnot, but I happened to go to a game, and he's on a breakaway layup, and a guy fouls him hard into the wall, and he gets up and says something to the guy, and he gets a technical foul. So I have this come to Jesus moment with him, you know, when we get home at night, and I'm going to teach him about how to keep his cool and all that kind of stuff. So I give him like a 15-minute, the best speech ever about keeping your cool, don't lose your cool,
No
have
flubs.
poise, none of that. And he sat there and looked at me and listened like so intently. And then he said to me, he said, "And how many headsets did you bust this year?" So I said, "Oh, you got me on that one."
Yeah, it sounds like you raised him right. Connor has the last question for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the conference realignment, and do you feel like Texas and Oklahoma and some of these other schools that were coming to the SEC in the next few years, that was inevitable? And then do you also feel like that you have to be on a conference call with every other head coach in college and you tell them, hey, this is how it's going to be. I'm Nick Saban. This is what I want to do, and you guys are just going to fall in line?
No, I don't feel that way at all. You know,
You should, though. We wish you would.
I really don't feel that way at all. But the one thing that I like about the SEC and the additions that we made to the conference, it keeps us in some kind of a regional alignment.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not traveling all over to play. And I think that's been one of the great things about the SEC. It's in the southeast part of the country. It's contained there. There's great.
What are you saying about the Atlantic Coast Conference?
And I'm not saying anything about anybody. But I do like the fact that we added 2 great programs, 2 great universities to our conference, but we didn't change the geographic dynamics of what we do.
Inevitable, what do you think? Have you tried to procrastinate or try to forecast what it could potentially look like, or you can't do that? What college football looks at as a whole?
No, I really can't do that. I know it's changing. I know we all have to adapt to the change. That's the most important thing that you have to do to continue to be successful at anything. So, and it's going to take some adapting. We're going to play more tougher games. We'll probably end up playing more SEC games at some point in time. But I think that's good for fans, and I think it's good for college football.
I think so, too. I think we'll obviously make it work. And speaking of making it work, I think it's time for us to make an announcement, Coach. Huh? How about it? You mind if I make this announcement right now?
Not at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this upcoming college football season will be one that'll be for the books.
Yep.
Historians will talk about this season, not only because it's the last one before the 12-team playoff and the new conference realignment, but because this upcoming college football season, every single Thursday, we will be getting the incredible opportunity of chatting with head coach of Alabama, Nick Saban.
Honor and privilege for me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank
We're going to
you.
have a hell of a season. We are very, very grateful for your presence today and throughout this entire season. We are going to ask you the dumbest things you've ever heard in your entire life. We hope to not ruin you and your brand, but what we think is going to happen is a nice exploration of the brain of the greatest college football coach of all time. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach Nick Saban. That's bananas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, absolutely bonkers
Unreal.
that's going to be
That was
happening.
awesome. Yeah.
Boys, hey, I think you guys got a good head coach. I think you guys have
I'd say.
a good head coach.
I think they do.
I think they do.
As the folks file out of here, now that Nick Saban has left, I think the only thing we can do is give ourselves a little pat on it. We should celebrate what just happened.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Real cool.
So, I think if you were a sports book or an odds maker, you'd have it about plus 25,000. That coach Nick Saban would do a show with a bunch of doofuses. The head one wearing a tank top. But here we are in 2023 with an opportunity to chit-chat and go throughout an entire season with the greatest coach of all time.
Yep.
It is going to be awesome, and I can't freaking wait for it.
So cool.
I mean, the more things happen over like the course of this last week and what we've been doing, it kind of is just like, hey, we're living in a simulation. Okay, I never believed in that bullshit, but the more we do stuff and the more like this kind of stuff happens, the more I do believe in it. So let's just enjoy it and keep going.
There he goes.
Let's go.
You heard him on his way out. He's got big time football game tomorrow night.
Yeah, huge.
He came in here with his people, incredibly kind and nice, and we met at the national championship game.
Yeah.
We did college game day together, a little kickoff show, and he was placed right next to me, right to my right here. And I don't think he had any idea that I existed as a human. And after the first segment, he like looked at me like, is this thing real? Is this?
All the time?
What is this? What are you? Early, he did not have him.
Not with it.
He was not about old Pat McAfee. But it was about 30 minutes in, all of a sudden he gave so you're like this all the time? I'm like, oh yeah, coach, let's have a good time. He goes, where'd you go to school? I said, West Virginia. He goes, I'm from. I said, oh, I know, coach. And then we had a full conversation. We started chit-chatting. And what I learned from him is he still is that like humble West Virginia guy.